All right, guys, last topic of the day. Before the Super Bowl kicked off, Deion Sanders was with the ESPN set talking about the game, talking about Colorado, talking about his sons. And he had a comment that –
Man.
What?
I can't believe it's 12:41. I feel like the show just flew by.
Time flies.
Honestly, I thought it was 12 o'clock.
No, it's been a great show.
I was like, what? How's it 12:41?
Been a great show.
We're almost at Super Chats.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you guys just listen to the comment, and we can react to
Okay.
it. But this was Deion Sanders pre-Super Bowl with First Take.
Before, and I know you're happy at Colorado, but before Shoddy went to the Cowboys, your name was kind of in the mix. Is there anything that would get you to jump to the National Football League?
Not whatsoever. What transpired with my son last year, ain't no way in the world. No, I don't have a. Thank you, Lord. When I stop like that.
That's to keep you from saying you don't need to say.
When I stop like that,
Gotcha.
that don't mean
God
that don't mean I'm lost for words. That means God said, hold on.
That's too wrong. Sorry, I didn't mean to pick up.
That means God said you're a head coach now. You can't do that now. You can't talk like that. You can't say that. I know you're comfortable with your brothers here, but you can't say that.
Them frames was crazy.
It's hard to pay attention to anything with Cam Newton's hat. I'm so distracted by his hat.
Mr. Topham hat, man. Listen, them gazelle glasses Coach Prime had on was crazy.
They were sweet.
They was fire. But yeah, no, look. I mean, people talk about Prime. I'm like, he is not going to the NFL. Like he has a nice cushy job. Why? The NFL. Look, there are certain coaches.
They need him for the Rudy rule.
Deion will be no one's Rudy rule. What are you talking about? Like, he will be under no circumstances. Like, I feel like nah, bro, I'm cool, man. A lot of y'all cats, y'all had a lot of stories to say, bro. Them stories were unfounded, bro. He didn't like them stories. Now, here, I did think Cam was funny. Cam said, hey, man, we need to figure out what's going on with Colorado, though. He was like, no, we had a tough year. The Sanders,
what was their record?
The Sanders as a year.
It was really
the Sanders family as a year. We had a tough year.
4-8 or something like that.
Oh, they were really bad.
But I mean, I don't think Prime ain't built for no, like, he could, but he's just not, he's too honest for the NFL.
You think any team would give him a real chance to be head coach?
He'd have to really.
He had to vibe with the owner.
Right now, he's trying. He got to master the college game.
Yeah, I mean,
it just doesn't make sense.
The NFL game is a different game. Coach Prime liked to say he liked to speak his mind. Like, can you imagine? Like Prime at the press conferences would be.
It'd be nuts.
I'd love it. That'd be funny.
He stopped himself short because he started to say, not after what they did to my son, and then he cut himself off.
Yeah, like, don't say that.
It's been a year, basically now, since the draft. Do you feel like with the information we now have, where do you think, if you were Deion, given true serum, where do you think he was going?
Where you think he wanted him to go?
Like, yeah, let's say he was talking with just Cam Newton and Ryan Clark and wasn't on national.
Oh, you talking about where he was going to go?
Where do you think that sentence was going?
Oh, well, I think he wanted to say there's a lot of people in the NFL that was spreading rumors and falsehoods about the character. Forget the football part. I don't think Prime has a problem with the football part of it. You can have an evaluation to say you don't like Shedeur, you don't like this. But some of the stuff that they was coming out with was wild. Like, they was having people talk about this man don't sit. He ride a different bus to the games in Colorado, and they're like, this is patently false. Here's the media company that his brother owns, and this is him sitting at the front of the bus. People saying, hey, man, he got a situation where he not in the front of the meeting rooms. He need to get himself to the front of the rooms. I'm here, he ain't doing. It'd be like, man, listen, like, for all intensive purposes, there's people that get caught up in whether or not his fan base is, right? Like, I think we get so caught up, and he's not the first person to have a fan base. Like, everybody has fans that stand 10 toes down that's going to support people. There's people that will argue on the internet about their favorite TV show and will be upset.
I will argue with you on that.
That it's personal to him. So, but by all intensive purposes, the kid don't do nothing. He just, like, he's not a malicious person. He don't running around cussing people out. He comes, he tries to do things in the community, and I think the thing he was going with is people who were saying a lot of unfounded things, and then the season happened, and as we get to watch for a year, we found out that a lot of it frankly, was not true. Like him as an individual. So we could argue about football whether you think he's good or not. But individually, as a person, I think he felt like he was disrespected because some of the stuff that people were saying.
He was definitely treated unfairly in the draft process. Whether he was drafted fairly where he should have been, that's up for debate. I think the truth is somewhere in between. I think the Shedorians think he should have been the first pick in the draft. A lot of people just say, well, he was a 5th-round pick. The truth is probably somewhere in between, maybe a 2nd-round pick, maybe a 3rd-round pick. Who knows? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was treated unfairly on the football field. I don't think the Browns did him wrong, as some have speculated. I think he was treated very similarly to many other players. But I do think he was treated unfairly at times during the draft process. That I agree with. I think that's what he's mostly talking about.
The only thing out of the whole thing that still doesn't make sense was the rep thing in training camp. That was the one to this day that was still like.
I don't know that the reps were unfair. I think the way it was laid out as possibly as being
the open competition between 4.
That shouldn't have been. That was the mistake. That was the mistake. They should have said that because it wasn't.
Well, because it's like
no 5th-round quarterback in training camp gets
because it comes off as this. It comes off as you made it seem. They made it seem, and it might be the case, but I'm not. We're not in the building to know. But it made it seem like the other 3 got something going, but Shedeur don't. So like we're gonna put him to the side because all the times I'm hearing Jason and Zach say he's clearly 4th on the depth chart. Like he's clearly 4th and he ain't getting reps. So like it makes you wonder like, well, why is he not getting these reps? And that was always the big thing. Right. Why is it that it's an open competition?
Had they not said it was an open competition, would you have had those same feelings?
No.
Right, exactly.
No,
that's the
I
thing.
wouldn't have. But
so that was the problem.
But then you hear like I remember when Chad Johnson came out and was like, he was like, yeah, I talked to Denzel or I talked to people with the Browns after he shouldn't have said Denzel's name.
Yeah. Right.
He like, Denzel, like, he balling out there, I'm telling you. And it's like players be saying like, yeah, we see it every day. He make a wild play every day. So it's like if he was doing that in practice, in training camp, like at some point you eventually will want to see it. And again, it does go back to the open competition comment. Because if you came in and said Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett is our starter, then it wouldn't have been a thing. And I told you that was the biggest mistake that they made.
It was the biggest mistake.
And then I think the other thing that got Deion upset about Shedeur is the fact that people know Shedeur. Like people that like close to the family, even teammates. Like you're with this guy every day and you hear people say these things and nobody ever came out and said that wasn't true. They just let it run. Nobody, no media member, no teammates. Nobody ever came out and said nothing. It wasn't until Shelby after the season came out and said something.
Yeah.
But for the whole season, nobody ever said a thing to help Shedeur. All the people, because it was one of the media guys he was talking to while he was at the thing. And he was like, you let them talk about my son. And he said, well, I said something about your son after the fact. And he was like, that's my point. Like, you knew my son was a good kid. He didn't deserve none of this. And you never stood up.
Who was he talking about?
I don't remember who he was talking to, but he was talking to somebody.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was another part of it. Nobody ever had his back.
But you have to admit that some of the woe is me about Shedeur is a little over the top. And some of it, he was treated just like any other late-round quarterback that nobody would have said anything about.
It's like the Rex Ryan thing. Rex Ryan, when he said what he said, nobody ever came out and said.
Oh, they came out and said, you need to be in the front of the room. And then they was like, here's him in the front of the room here.
Yeah, that's totally different. That's unfair. That's unfair.
And the thing I always say, and people always say, I always tell people, man, you know why I mess with him and I respect him? And this is outside of football. Like, Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, okay.
He's super famous, super duper famous. His team told him not to pull up in the projects. Told him. It was a fire to happen in the projects. They told him, nah, bro, you going to the hood. You ain't even from here. You ain't here with no security. This dude pulled up to a disenfranchised place, showed love, gave free haircuts. And it wasn't just he gave money or bread. He pulled up, had food trucks. He got, he talked to people, was playing catch with the dudes and especially with the kids. And when I was seeing that, I realized he was a genuine individual. And a lot of people don't understand. People died in that fire. People lost everything in that fire. And the problem
What fire?
It was a fire down the way in
I forget the projects that it was in.
Garden Valley.
So he pulls up and he put it together. He called the people, say, "Yo, let's get this, let's do this."
Gee, the first day, like his first week here, he went to talk to kids.
I agree that he appears. None of us know him personally. He appears to be a very nice person
and look,
and a genuine person. And the way he was talked about in the draft process seems to be very unfair.
And for me,
as if he was selfish, and he doesn't seem to be that type of person.
And for me, I didn't like that the people tried to portray it like he was doing it for a publicity stunt. And Boog comes out and his team says, we go to schools, every city we go to. If we in Miami, we go to Colorado, we go. And sometimes I think, you got to take a step back. I always said, man, I will respect you for what you do for your people and disenfranchised people, because I care about what you do in general. Football is great. It's a sport. We all want to be great at it and we want to win. But I respect what you do for your people on and off the court. He went and did that. He didn't have to do it. And it was something that I thought was a really cool gesture. And I also thought it was really cool that he did this through a lot of different things. He got robbed for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Right. His dad was
it hundreds of thousands of dollars?
I mean, he got robbed for.
Yeah.
He got
robbed for his jewelry.
No, he told you. No, my chain is still here. My chain. But also, his dad was a cancer survivor. His dad didn't even go see his dad because he was concentrating on figuring out. So look, we could argue about it whether he's good or not. I just think that Coach Prime and a lot of people who support Shedeur Sanders have an issue with some of the narrative that was put out about his character. And I think he's done a really good job of showing who he is, and he'll continue to do those things because that's what he put on camera before. So I think that's what he salty about.
Fair enough.